Imagine standing atop a quiet hill at dawn. The sky, in soft shades of pink and orange, stretches endlessly above you. A gentle breeze whispers through the grass. In this moment, you feel alive, calm, present. As the first rays of sunlight touch your skin, you realize something profound. Happiness isn't a destination, it's the art of living, a delicate balance of choices, perspectives, and habits. Every day you wake up, open your eyes, and take that first breath of consciousness is a precious gift. We are never guaranteed the next day, let alone the next minute. Every day we must wake up with immense gratitude that we have more time, no matter the circumstances. Even in the most dire of circumstances, people that find a purpose can find a sense of gratitude for having another day. Every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. These words, echoing the wisdom of the Stoics, remind us of the power each day holds in shaping who we are and who we become. As Marcus Aurelius once profoundly stated, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. Think constantly on the changes of the elements into each other, for such thoughts wash away the dust of earthly life. Remember, in the words of Viktor Frankl, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Embrace your purpose, and you will find that the universe moves with you, supporting your journey and amplifying your impact. Your life becomes a testament to the beauty of harmonious living, inspiring others to find their own place in the symphony. Today, we're going to explore the 13 timeless truths that illuminate the path to a happier life. Let's begin this journey. Number 1. Maintain a healthy body and mind. A sound mind in a sound body. This ancient wisdom echoes across centuries, resonating as a timeless truth. Picture your body as the vessel that carries you through life's vast and unpredictable seas. Without proper care, it becomes fragile, withers, and struggles to weather the inevitable storms. Much like a ship navigating treacherous waters, strength and resilience must be cultivated to endure life's ever-changing tides, ensuring that no matter how fierce the waves, you remain steady and strong. The Stoics knew this well. To them, physical well-being wasn't a mere luxury, it was the foundation for a clear and fortified mind. After all, how can one confront life's challenges with courage if they lack the strength to stand tall or the endurance to persist? They understood that nurturing the body was not separate from nurturing the mind. Both were intricately intertwined, each supporting the other in pursuit of a harmonious life. Imagine a warrior preparing for battle. Would he neglect his armor or his sword? Just as both are vital for defense, so too are body and mind indispensable in navigating life's trials. Envision the rhythm of your day, the small, deliberate acts of self-care that nurture vitality. A morning stretch that awakens your senses and aligns your focus, each movement grounding you in the present. A nourishing meal that fuels not just your body, but also your spirit. Each bite a gesture of respect toward yourself and the gift of life. A quiet walk under an expansive sky that clears your mind, grounds your soul, and connects you to the world around you. The earth beneath your feet, the wind against your skin, the endless horizon that reminds you of possibility. These seemingly simple acts are profound gestures of self-respect, seeds carefully sown in the fertile soil of well-being, whose blooms you will one day reap, growing into the strength and vitality that carry you forward. But what about your mind? It too craves nourishment, yet its sustenance is different. It yearns for silence to reset, reflection to grow, and positive thoughts to flourish. Feed it moments of stillness, intervals of introspection, and an unwavering stream of optimism. Imagine the serenity of pausing amidst the chaos, giving your mind a chance to breathe. Think of it as tending to an inner flame. If neglected, it dwindles. If nurtured, it burns brightly, casting light on your path ahead. As you do, you'll witness something beautiful. Happiness begins to take root and bloom, transforming your inner world into a garden of calm and clarity, where thoughts flow freely and peace reigns. Even in moments of exhaustion, when the weight of the world feels heavy upon your shoulders, remember this: your body is the only home you will ever truly inhabit, and your mind is the space where your happiness resides. Tend to both with care, for they are your most precious instruments in navigating the journey of life. Cherish your body as the guardian of your soul, and cherish your mind as the wellspring of your spirit. Together, they form the essence of who you are: strong, resilient, and ever-evolving. Number 2, learn to be happy alone. Solitude is a garden where the soul blossoms, and within its quiet expanse lies a world waiting to be discovered. Yet many fear being alone, mistaking solitude for loneliness. This fear stems from a society that often equates happiness with activity, noise, and the presence of others. But true happiness isn't found in the crowd. It's found within, in the still moments when you are left with nothing but your thoughts, where clarity emerges from the quiet. Imagine sitting quietly with yourself, free from the distractions of the modern world. No phone buzzing with notifications, no endless chatter to fill the silence, just you and your thoughts, raw and unfiltered. At first it may feel uncomfortable, like standing at the edge of an unfamiliar abyss. The silence can seem loud, the emptiness overwhelming. Yet, like the vast expanse of a night sky, that initial void transforms into something profound, a space filled with infinite possibilities for reflection, for creativity, and for self-discovery. This space becomes fertile ground for inner peace. Being alone teaches you to cherish your own company, to be your own friend, your own guide, and your own greatest advocate. It helps you cultivate a love that isn't dependent on anyone else, to love without needing, to stand without leaning on others. It's in these moments of solitude that you find the courage to be fully, unapologetically you, to embrace every part of yourself, both the shadows and the light. Solitude becomes a mirror reflecting your true essence, a sanctuary where authenticity flourishes. Picture this: you sitting by a window, watching the rain fall, completely at ease with the quiet around you. There's no urgency, no rush to be somewhere or do something. There is just the peaceful acceptance of the moment as it is, with all its imperfections and beauty. This is the power of solitude. It grants you the gift of presence, the ability to exist without expectation, to simply be. Over time, solitude becomes a sanctuary, a place where you can retreat, recharge, and reconnect with your essence. It is not a prison, but a refuge. It is the quiet corner of your mind where you find solace, strength, and renewal. Through solitude, you learn that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being whole. And once you learn to be happy alone, you bring a fuller, more resilient version of yourself into every interaction, every relationship. You offer others not a fragmented piece, but the entirety of who you are. Because happiness, true and lasting happiness, begins within you, in that quiet, blossoming garden of your soul, a garden nurtured by stillness and strengthened by time. Number 3, control what you can, accept what you can't. Life throws storms our way. Some we can navigate, others we must endure. The Stoics believed that happiness lies in distinguishing between the two, for it is in clarity that we find peace. Close your eyes and imagine a sailor on the sea. The waves rise high, the wind howls, and the horizon disappears into the chaos of the storm. He cannot command the wind, but he can adjust his sails. He does not waste his energy cursing the weather, for he knows that doing so changes nothing. Instead, he focuses on what he can control, his actions, his mindset, his choices, and in doing so, he finds a way to move forward. This is the art of control, directing your energy where it matters. Focus on what's within your grasp. You cannot dictate the behavior of others, but you can choose how to respond. You cannot halt the passage of time, but you can choose how to spend it. Every moment presents a decision to dwell in frustration or to embrace what is and act accordingly. Let go of what you can't control. Worrying about the uncontrollable is like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips away, leaving you restless and weary. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's freeing yourself from unnecessary suffering. Imagine the sailor again, now at peace despite the storm around him, finding strength in his ability to adapt. Acceptance allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters, for navigating life's waters with grace, no matter how rough the sea becomes. It doesn't mean you are powerless. Rather, it means you are wise enough to know where your power ends and serenity begins. Number 4, detach from outcomes. How often do we tie our happiness to outcomes, the promotion we want, the approval we crave, the dream we chase? We stake our joy on external achievements, only to find ourselves in despair when things don't go as planned. It is as if we tether our well-being to a distant star, believing that only by reaching it can we find light. And when we fall short, we crumble, lost in the darkness of unmet expectations. Picture a gardener tending to his plants. He waters, prunes, nurtures with patience and care. Yet he understands a profound truth. He cannot force them to bloom. The sun must rise, the rain must fall, and time must take its course. His joy comes not from the harvest alone, but from the care he gives, the quiet satisfaction of tending to life. Detach yourself from the results. Focus on the process. Life, like a garden, is unpredictable. Sometimes the seeds you plant flourish, and other times, despite your best efforts, they wither. But when you pour your heart into your efforts without clinging to the outcome, you find a kind of freedom. There is serenity in knowing you have done your best, regardless of what follows. Imagine this. Instead of measuring your success by the final result, you measure it by the effort, the passion, and the integrity you bring to your actions. You begin to see life not as a series of wins and losses, but as a continuous journey of growth and learning. In this detachment from specific results, peace emerges, a peace born from the knowledge that your worth is not determined by external circumstances, but by the authenticity of your endeavors. So, pour your heart into your efforts, tend to your own garden, and trust the universe to decide the rest. In this detachment lies not only peace, but also the quiet, enduring joy of a life well lived. Number 5, cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is the lens through which happiness becomes visible, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's easy to overlook the small blessings, a warm cup of coffee on a cold morning, the laughter of a friend that brightens your day, or the comfort of a familiar place that offers solace amid life's chaos. Yet, it is in these moments, often unnoticed, that life's greatest treasures are found, waiting quietly for those who choose to look. Every day, take a moment to pause and reflect. What went well today? What made you smile, even if only briefly? Write it down if you can, for there is power in the act of recognition. Gratitude turns fleeting moments into lasting memories, ordinary experiences into cherished ones. Over time, this simple practice reshapes your perspective, allowing you to find joy in places you never thought to look, in the gentle rustle of leaves, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, or the quiet moments shared with loved ones. The Stoics, masters of resilience and wisdom, practiced a powerful exercise known as negative visualization, imagining life without the things they cherished, not to foster fear or anxiety, but to deepen appreciation for what they had. Picture, if you will, a world devoid of the things you hold dear, the people, comforts, and routines that fill your life. In doing so, you begin to see these elements not as given, but as precious gifts. When you imagine, even for a moment, the absence of those you love, the comforts you enjoy, and the simple pleasures of life, you begin to see each of them as gifts, precious and impermanent. Imagine waking up each morning with the thought that nothing is guaranteed, not the sunrise, not the people you hold dear, not even your own breath. Far from being a morbid exercise, this mindset enriches your life, making every moment a profound gift. Gratitude, when practiced deeply, becomes more than just a fleeting emotion. It becomes a way of seeing, a way of being. It teaches you to live fully, love deeply, and find beauty even in life's smallest details. With each passing day, this practice strengthens your spirit, grounding you in the present and opening your eyes to the wonders that surround you, however small or fleeting they may be. By cultivating gratitude, you learn to embrace life with open arms and an open heart. You find yourself seeking beauty in simplicity, recognizing that even life's imperfections hold lessons and meaning. And as gratitude becomes second nature, it transforms your world into one of abundance, where happiness is no longer something to chase, but something you carry within you wherever you go. Number 6. Live according to your values. What guides your life? Is it the fleeting approval of others or the steadfast compass of your values? Too often, we find ourselves chasing external validation, a nod of approval, a few words of praise, and yet, when the applause fades, so does our sense of purpose. True fulfillment comes not from others' recognition, but from living in alignment with what we hold dear. Living by your values brings integrity, and integrity brings peace. Define what matters most to you: honesty, kindness, courage, or perhaps perseverance in the face of adversity. Let these values become the unshakable foundation upon which your life is built. When your actions reflect your values, you move through life with a sense of clarity and purpose, free from the discontent that arises from living according to someone else's expectations. Imagine walking a path through a dense forest. Without a compass, you wander aimlessly, unsure of where each step will lead. The shadows seem deeper, the path less certain, but with a compass in hand, each step becomes deliberate, purposeful. Your values are that compass, a guiding light in the ever-changing landscape of life. With them, you not only find direction, but also cultivate an inner strength that anchors you amidst life's uncertainties. Picture yourself facing a difficult decision. The easy path beckons, promising comfort and ease, while the right path demands courage and integrity. It is in moments like these that your values reveal their true worth. By choosing the path that aligns with your principles, you strengthen your character and deepen your sense of self. Follow your values, and happiness will follow you, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a lasting state of being grounded in authenticity. Over time, living by your values becomes second nature, a silent force that shapes your actions and decisions without hesitation. It brings a quiet confidence, a steady assurance that no matter what challenges arise, you will remain true to yourself. And in that unwavering commitment to your principles, you find not only peace, but also the profound joy of living a life that is truly your own. Number 7. Embrace discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the hand that shapes us, molds us, and strengthens us. It is the unseen force that carves out resilience, sharpening our edges and fortifying our spirit. Without discomfort, growth becomes a distant dream, a horizon never reached. Picture a blacksmith forging a sword. The raw metal, unyielding and imperfect, must endure the blistering heat of fire, the relentless strikes of the hammer, and the unyielding surface of the anvil, before it transforms into a weapon of strength and precision. The process is arduous, filled with sparks and strain, but it is only through this trial that the metal becomes something greater than it once was. Life subjects us to the same process. Challenges, failures, and moments of discomfort are the fires and hammers that refine us, pushing us to rise above our limitations and forge a stronger version of ourselves. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. Imagine a seedling that refuses to push through the soil because it fears the pressure of the earth above. Without embracing the struggle, it would never reach the sunlight, never become the towering tree it was meant to be. The same is true for us. Growth requires that we step into the unknown, that we face discomfort with open arms and a steady heart. Embrace it instead. Step out of your comfort zone, for that's where happiness hides, not in ease, but in triumph. It is in the moments when you push past your fears, when you stretch beyond your perceived limits, that you discover the boundless potential within. Discomfort is the catalyst for transformation, the spark that ignites your inner fire. In facing it, you don't just endure, you evolve, becoming sharper, stronger, and more resilient than you ever imagined possible. Number 8. Redefine success. Success is often painted as wealth, fame, and power, a glittering prize that many chase, believing it holds the key to lasting happiness. But more often than not, these external symbols of success leave us feeling empty, as if we were chasing shadows in a fading light. Ask yourself, what does success mean to you? Perhaps it's not the size of your bank account or the recognition of the crowd, but something quieter, deeper, living a life true to your own values, finding joy in simple moments, or making a meaningful difference in someone else's life. Success might be measured by how authentically you live, how deeply you love, and how boldly you pursue what sets your soul on fire. Redefine success on your own terms. The world doesn't need more rich people, it needs more fulfilled ones. It needs those who wake up with a sense of purpose, who feel gratitude for what they have, and who find contentment in the journey, not just the destination. Success isn't a trophy to be won, but a way of living that brings inner peace and genuine happiness. So ask yourself again, what does success mean to you, and how will you create it? Number 9. Practice presence. The present moment is all we ever have. Yet we often live in the past, replaying memories, or in the future, anticipating what is to come, all while missing the beauty of now. The past, with its triumphs and regrets, is gone, irretrievably locked in time. The future, with its promises and uncertainties, remains an unfulfilled dream. All that truly exists is this fleeting, precious moment, slipping through our fingers like grains of sand in an hourglass. Mindfulness is the art of presence, of anchoring yourself in the now. It invites you to slow down, to notice the subtleties of life that often go unnoticed. When you eat, savor each bite as if it were a gift. Notice the intricate flavors, the textures, the way each morsel nourishes your body and delights your senses. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your steps connecting you to the earth. When you speak, truly listen, not just with your ears but with your heart, fully attuned to the words and emotions shared by those around you. Happiness isn't found in yesterday, wrapped in nostalgia or regret, nor in tomorrow, tied to hopes or anxieties. It's found here, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this single moment. Imagine each moment as a pearl on the string of life. By focusing on the present, you string those pearls together, creating a life rich in clarity, peace, and joy. Mindfulness allows you to experience life in high definition, to see its colors more vividly, hear its sounds more clearly, and feel its depth more profoundly. Suddenly, ordinary moments transform into extraordinary ones, simply because you are present to experience them fully. Practicing presence isn't always easy. The mind has a natural tendency to wander, to cling to thoughts of what was and what might be, pulling you away from the here and now. Yet with patience and practice, you can train it to return, again and again, to the present. Each time you do, you strengthen your ability to live fully, embracing the gift of now. Think of mindfulness as a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Over time, presence becomes not just a practice, but a way of life, a sanctuary where you find refuge from the chaos of the world. In this mindful state, you discover that happiness isn't a destination to be reached, but a way of being, rooted in the simple, profound beauty of the present moment. It is here, in the now, that life unfolds in its truest form. By embracing each moment with an open heart and a clear mind, you unlock the door to a richer, more fulfilling existence, where peace and joy become your constant companions. Number 10. Develop a resilient mindset. Resilience is the bridge between struggle and strength, the invisible force that carries you through life's darkest storms and brightest days. Life will test you again and again. It will throw challenges your way, some expected and others unforeseen. How you respond in those moments, how you rise after each fall, ultimately determines your happiness and your capacity to thrive. The Stoics believed in the power of perspective, that our perception of events shapes our reality. Every setback is more than an obstacle. It is a lesson waiting to be learned. Every hardship is not merely a burden, but an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The trials you endure today forge the character you will embody tomorrow. Think of a tree bending in the wind. It doesn't break because its roots run deep, anchoring it firmly to the ground. The branches may sway, the leaves may scatter, but the tree remains steadfast. Cultivate those roots within yourself, resilience, courage, and faith in your ability to endure, and you will weather any storm that life brings. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or hardship. It is about embracing them, understanding that they are part of the human experience. Imagine yourself as a river flowing over rocks. The rocks don't stop the river. They shape its course, making it stronger and more defined. Similarly, your struggles shape you, giving depth to your character and strength to your spirit. In moments of adversity, when it feels as though the world is pressing down on you, remember that resilience is built not in ease but in effort. It is cultivated each time you choose to stand back up, to keep moving forward, to face life's challenges with an open heart and an unyielding will. With deep roots and a resilient mind, you will not only weather the storms, but also grow stronger because of them. Number 11. Seek knowledge and growth. A curious mind is a joyful mind, one that views the world as an ever-unfolding mystery, full of wonders waiting to be explored. It is curiosity that fuels our desire to learn, to question, to venture beyond the familiar into realms unknown. Life, with all its intricacies, offers endless opportunities to be amazed, to grow, and to discover. Read books that challenge your perspective, that introduce you to new ideas and cultures. Dive into conversations that spark your imagination and broaden your understanding. Ask questions, not just of others, but of yourself. What drives you? What inspires you? What do you long to know? Curiosity is a bridge, connecting where you are to where you could be. Try new things, no matter how small. Each new experience, whether it's learning a skill, visiting a new place, or simply approaching an old problem with fresh eyes, expands your horizons and enriches your life. Embrace the unfamiliar, for it is often in the unknown that the greatest growth occurs. Growth isn't a destination, it's a journey without end, a continuous unfolding of your potential. Along this journey, happiness doesn't just walk beside you, it becomes an integral part of who you are, woven into every step forward. Each day, with its lessons and experiences, offers a chance to evolve into a more enlightened, fulfilled version of yourself. And as you cultivate this boundless curiosity, you find that life, in all its complexity, becomes not a puzzle to solve, but a wonder to explore and savor. Number 12. Focus on creating, not just consuming. Consumption is passive. Creation is active. It is in the act of creating, whether it be art, ideas, experiences, or even moments, that you leave your unique imprint on the world. When you create, you engage with life in a profound way, transforming raw potential into something tangible and meaningful. Imagine your life as a canvas, blank and vast. Don't just admire others' paintings, pick up a brush and paint your own masterpiece. Each stroke represents a choice, an action, a moment where you took something abstract, an idea, a feeling, and brought it to life. The beauty of creation lies not in perfection, but in authenticity. It is the process of bringing forth something that did not exist before, something uniquely yours, that gives life richness and depth. In creation lies purpose. It is through creating that we connect with our inner selves, express who we are, and contribute something of value to the world. Whether you write a story, build a relationship, or craft a solution to a problem, the act of creating brings fulfillment, a sense of being truly alive. In purpose lies happiness. Creation gives life meaning, turning ordinary days into extraordinary ones filled with intent and joy. So, don't wait to be inspired by others. Pick up your brush, your pen, your voice, whatever tool speaks to you, and start creating. You are the artist of your own life, and in every creation, no matter how small, lies the potential for happiness. Number 13. Accept impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, and that's okay. The fleeting nature of life is what makes it precious. Imagine each moment as a delicate snowflake, unique and beautiful, melting away as soon as it touches your skin. Each flake, distinct in its form, exists only for a brief moment before vanishing. It is this impermanence that imbues life with meaning, making every experience, every encounter, worth treasuring. Memento mori. Remember that you will die. This isn't morbid, it's liberating. It reminds us to live fully, to stop postponing joy, and to embrace life in its entirety. When you accept impermanence, you free yourself from the chains of clinging and fearing loss. Instead, you become present, savoring every moment as it unfolds, free to experience everything as it comes without the burden of holding on too tightly. Cherish the moments. Hold them gently, knowing they will pass. Celebrate life's highs, revel in its beauty, and find meaning even in its lows. Life is like a flowing river, constantly moving, ever changing. You cannot hold on to the water, but you can immerse yourself in its flow, feeling its coolness against your skin. In this acceptance of life's transience, you discover a kind of peace that transcends time. For when you stop fighting impermanence, you begin to see that every ending is but a new beginning, every fleeting second an irreplaceable part of your story. Imagine looking at an old photograph, one that captures a joyful moment from years ago. Though the moment has passed, its essence lingers, living on in your memory. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean letting go of meaning. It means appreciating it even more deeply. It means understanding that because moments are fleeting, they are precious. And in this, you find not only lasting peace, but also the profound beauty of simply being. Life becomes not a race against time, but a dance with it. A dance in which every step, whether joyous or challenging, adds to the richness of your existence. Embrace impermanence, and you embrace the fullness of life. As the sun sets on that quiet hill, you stand there once more. The sky is now a deep shade of indigo, stars beginning to shimmer. You breathe in the cool air, feeling a profound sense of calm. Life is not a race to happiness, it's a journey of becoming. By living these 13 truths, you don't just find happiness, you create it. So go forth, live fully, love deeply, and let happiness find you along the way.